Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the Fake News at 10. My name is Mainstream Media Jerk. The time is coronavirus. Our top story tonight. On Tuesday, the government announced plans to install 15-minute cities in cities across the United Kingdom. Conspiracy theorists were quick to jump on the news online and start circulating a conspiracy theory that the government were installing 15-minute cities in cities across the United Kingdom. For more on this important disinformation story, we have a reporter who's prepared to say anything to be on the television. Jane. Thank you very much, David. Yes, indeed. It was the UK government who on Tuesday announced plans to start segregating cities into 15-minute zones and preventing people from freely travelling that caused online conspiracy theorists to start circulating a dangerous conspiracy theory that governments were dividing cities into 15-minute zones to prevent people from travelling. This dangerous conspiracy theory continued to be passed around online as more and more people realised that this was actually happening despite the fact that it's a conspiracy theory. What in actual fact has been occurring is that residents all across the UK and the world have been desperate to be locked inside their homes by the government and are only just now being given a chance to ask for that via an undemocratically elected board of people telling them that it's going to happen. For more on this, we've got a strange man with spectacles who looks like Penfold. Stephen.
Talk to us about this concept of a 15-minute city. What's involved in it, and could it really be transported to the United States?
Well, yes, it can definitely be transported. It's very popular already in the United States. I come back to that. First of all, what is it? The 15-minute city it's really about people wanting to have more of their life more local.
Sorry to interrupt you there, David. By people wanting to live their life more locally, do you mean people wanting to have cameras set up all around their neighborhood to film them driving in their car and to fine them £100 for going 15 minutes from their front door? Is that what people want? Have people been crying out for that? Is that something that the public want? Is it something that people were like, listen, I desperately need to be fined for driving my car, and what I really want, most of all, is for the government to tell me where I can go and when. That's what I'm getting from what you're saying. Is that correct?
Technology now allows that, and the true enemy for many is the daily grind of commuting, and that's what people are looking to avoid.
Thank you very much, David. I think that's incredibly clear for our viewers now. If you don't like commuting to work, then what you desperately need is for the government to set up cameras around your area and fine you for driving your car, and you have to get permission from them to go more than 15 minutes outside your front door. That makes perfect sense. Penfold, do you have any comments for people that have noticed that this is some sort of government climate lockdown, and that once people accept this, it'll sort of gradually snowball into sort of 1984 Hunger Games style living hell? Do you have any comments for those people?
A lot more people want to work locally, either at home or close to home, because they've really appreciated an ability in the past year to spend more time at home or close to home. It's been very valued.
Thank you very much. Penfold users are reminded the last time the government locked you in your homes, it was, and I quote, extremely valued. We now go exclusively live to the two people who work for Oxford City Council that are installing and running the 15-minute city programme for an exclusive live bit of breaking news, as they tell us that the whole thing that they're running and planning is a conspiracy theory and isn't really happening at all. This should be absolutely fantastic. David.
Hello everyone. Recently, we've seen a lot of misinformation about traffic filters circulating online.
Thank you very much, Jane. That's absolutely shocking for everyone on the mainstream media news to hear. Could I ask you, do you think the misinformation about you building traffic filters could have started from the fact that you're about to admit that you are building traffic filters and setting them up all over the city centre by any chance?
This misinformation is being spread by many disreputable sources, and it has been extremely disappointing to see it being picked up by the national media outlets as well.
Jane, thank you very much. That is absolutely incredible to hear. Could I suggest that you call what's happening a conspiracy theory, and then we can proceed to tell people that it's actually happening? Would that be possible, your end?
These conspiracy theories are causing real-world harm and need to stop. We have been receiving many calls and emails from worried residents in genuine fear that they might be locked in their own homes. This is categorically untrue, and we're talking to you today to explain the truth. To reassure residents and set the record straight, we want to be absolutely clear. We are not planning a climate lockdown or a lockdown of any kind.
The traffic filters will be installed as a trial.
Sorry, David, just to double check. These are the traffic filters that are misinformation that the lady next to you told us not 12 seconds ago. So the traffic filters that are misinformation, that there's a lot of disinformation and conspiracy theories about, that are not being installed, you guys are installing them. It's very interesting.
The traffic filters will be installed as a trial on 6 roads in Oxford in 2024. They will not be physical barriers. They're not steel walls or electronic gates. They're simply traffic cameras that can read number plates. If a vehicle passes through, the camera will read the number plate and, if you do not have an exemption or a residence permit, you will receive a fine in the post.
David, I'm sorry to interrupt. Mainstream Media Jerk, Sky News. This is absolutely shocking, David. I can't believe what my ears are hearing. So all you guys are doing is simply putting in traffic filters, which is a beautiful term that you've come up for, cameras that will record people, and if they don't have an exemption from you, the government, you're going to fine them money. So all you're doing is preventing citizens from travelling around Oxford, and if they try to travel around Oxford like they're a free human being, you're simply sending them a fine in the post, which if they don't pay, you'll just simply put them in prison. And people are online and they're complaining about this, David. This is really, truly shocking. All you're doing is installing a 1984 Hunger Games style traffic camera system around Oxford, and people are upset. This is absolutely outrageous. I'm so glad the lady with white hair standing next to you is upset about this. I mean, you two have absolutely every right to be absolutely appalled that people are going around complaining about the fact that they now have to ask you for permission to travel freely around their own city. This really is the most crazy bit of online disinformation conspiracy theory I've ever heard in my life. Why, you guys have clearly stated that they're not going to be physical barriers or mountains or electronic gates or anything else that people never said they were going to be. They're simply going to be cameras out there that are going to restrict people from being free human beings and just sending them fines in the post like they live in Nazi Germany. This is outrageous. Thank you for covering this up live.
By restricting through traffic at certain times of day, they work in exactly the same way as the existing traffic cameras in the high street. There's been a lot of commentary that the filters will separate communities and stop people from visiting loved ones.
David, do you think that that could be because that's exactly what they'll do? Do you think there's any chance that that's the reason?
This is not true. You will still be able to drive your car freely to every single part of the city.
Oh, I understand, David. So you'll still be able to drive your car freely to every single part of the city. It's just that you'll send them a fine in the post. So you're completely free. It's free to drive your car around the city, but if you do that, we'll send you a fine in the post.
We are just asking you to try to avoid inner city roads, as we all know these roads are suffering from awful congestion, delayed bus journeys, and are unsafe for people cycling and walking.
Oh, I see, David. So because you've done a shitty job of being the sort of in charge of the town of Oxford, people now have to pay you a fine in the post. So because you've done a terrible job, listen, we all know that the roads and the streets of Oxford are a complete bag of shit, and I'm in charge of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start fining you in the post if you use them. But don't worry, because you can send me a letter and you can ask for my permission to use the shitty roads that I've effed up. Magnificent. I really do hope these misinformation people stay away from this marvellous campaign, David.
We expect these traffic filters to reduce congestion and air pollution in our city, make bus journeys faster and more reliable, and make walking and cycling safer for everyone. We know not everyone will agree with our decisions.
How can you possibly know that, Cruella de Vil? How can you possibly know that your dystopian, nightmarish plan to start sending people fines in the post if they dare to drive around their own city won't be loved by everyone. What could possibly give you that idea? I hope it's not these conspiracy theorists giving you trouble.
And there are concerns about the traffic filters and how they will operate. We've listened carefully to feedback from residents and partners and have made changes to the scheme based on this feedback.
The scheme will be introduced as a trial during which another consultation will take place. During this trial, we will listen to your views while also monitoring data on traffic levels and air pollution. A final decision will then be made on whether or not the filters should be made permanent.
I'm gonna take a punt here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna have a wild guess. I am gonna go out there, ladies and gentlemen, put myself out on a limb, and I am gonna have a wild guess that these traffic filters will, in fact, be deemed a success by Oxford City Council. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The people who are in charge of Oxford, they have done you such a favour that they're going to start recording you with cameras and sending you fines in the post for driving your car wherever you want to go. Unless you have an exemption from that weirdo with the Ukraine pin on his jacket. The Ukraine pin on his jacket tells you everything you need to know. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. Whatever the establishment tell this guy to do, he's going to do it. He doesn't care if it's the centre of human trafficking and Nazis or whatever else. So enjoy it, Oxford. Enjoy the conspiracy theory that's not real and it's not coming true, and you heard it live from the horse's mouth of the two people that are literally doing it. Thanks a lot. See you later.